let's bring Dr. Kishore Tipirneni onto the stage and get going on this first episode. Thanks, Dr. Tipirneni, for joining us today to talk about AI and healthcare and practical ways to use it. How does a healthcare professional use AI in 2025 and not get swept away by the onslaught of new programs and new tools and new ways? It seems like every time you turn around.
I think, like, in general, there's the problem with AI in medicine is a problem of valid data, right? I mean, all these AIs, these large language models or LLMs, you ask it a question, it'll come back with an answer. The answer is never, I don't know. It's always like something. And you don't know if that answer is right or not. I think they're programmed to always give you an answer. So obviously in medicine, you can't ask it a medical question and have that much confidence that what you're getting back is actually valid. And so it's not at the point where, like, I can just say, hey, I got this patient with these symptoms, what do you recommend? It's nowhere near that point. But if you want to use it for reference, like I said, I use it to look up ICD-10 and CPT codes. It's pretty good with doing that. Even those aren't 100% accurate, so you have to kind of check it. But it definitely gives you a good start. You guys have said I'm a coder, so I write code, and it is unbelievably useful for coding. The AI is.
So you use it regularly to code?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Because let me tell you, I started coding back in the 80s. Okay. Yeah. On an Apple II computer, I taught myself coding from the manual that came with it. And back then, you had books is how you figured out how to code. Right? You had to get a book at the library, the bookstore, you read it, you write some code. If it doesn't work, it's not like you got to figure out, and it took forever to code something simple. Okay. That changed a little bit in the 90s. Coding got a little bit easier because you had the internet, and you can actually go to places like Stack Overflow or whatever, and people ask questions. How do you do this and how do you do that? Right.
Right.
Okay. Which is still much faster than reading a book and just figuring it out on your own. But the problem with coding as opposed to medicine is coding changes every year. I used to go to the Apple WWDC, the developers conference, every year, because every year they come up with a new version of iOS with all these new features and new code and that you had to learn. So the amount of information you have to learn as a coder is a lot, and it changes every year. That's the problem. In medicine, I've been in practice for 29 years. Not that much has changed in 29 years. I mean, yeah, there's some updated stuff and this and that, but the pace of change is very, very slow. So it's not like you have to do something like that. So now with these LLMs and ChatGPT, I just say, hey, listen, I need you to write me some code in this language that does this, and it just spits it out. Now, like I said, does it know that this is the correct code or not? It really doesn't matter, because you're going to take the code and you're going to paste it in there and you're going to run it and see if it works. Sometimes it's stuff I'm like, I don't even understand this because it's very complex, some of the stuff you ask it to write.
Yeah.
And then I just plug it in, but I hit run and let it run and said, oh yeah, it works. So that's the amazing thing. So I'm writing an app right now, an iOS app for the company I have, that if I think about it, I started writing this app about a week and a half ago. It's almost done. This same app before ChatGPT would have taken me 2 months.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
For example, I'm building the iOS app, right, for the project I'm working on. We're going to take that code and we're just going to dump it into probably Claude. Claude is a little bit better at coding than ChatGPT. And say, convert this over to JavaScript or Java.
Nice.
For an Android, and it'll just translate it.
In medicine,
yeah.
How is AI being used today, and where do you see it going over the next 2 or 3 years?
That's a great question. So right now, I mean, I think that any product that's good has to solve a problem. And the one problem that a lot of companies are trying to solve right now is the documentation problem, which is the problem where physicians, especially since EMRs, are spending more time doing documentation, button clicks, and everything else in these EMRs than actually seeing and diagnosing patients. And so that's causing physician burnout on the one side, and it's not what we were trained to do. It's not what we signed up for. Yeah. So one of the ways that they're trying to solve that is through AI. The concept is nice, where you just record audio of a patient visit between you and the patient, and then the AI listens to that audio and generates the documentation. No, the idea is good. The practicality is not so great, and that's why it hasn't been widely adopted yet. There's a lot of edge case scenarios, I call it, with that thing. A lot of conversation between a physician and patient is not medical, you know.
Yeah.
I was talking to my partner yesterday who was using one of those types of devices, and he's like, this lady, I just asked her, how she hurt her knee, and she goes into this 5-minute story about how she went to the gym. It's a great gym. Do you go to that gym? And all this stuff. And I met my friend there, and talking to her, and all this stuff. And finally, at the end, then I was on the treadmill, and I slipped and fell and hurt my knee. All that other conversation, the AI has to sit there and listen to, and determine if it's important enough to put in the note. So in order to do that, you have to be highly intelligent in order to be able to do that. That's the first issue. And so a lot of these AIs, they give you all this extra information that if you get the note, you have to edit it and take out all the stuff you don't want in there first place, then it's not really saving me much time. Right. The second issue is there's a lot of things that we don't say verbally normally during a clinic visit that goes into the note. A couple of examples, physical exam. I'm saying, hey, does your knee hurt here? Was I'm pushing on it? Well, the AI doesn't know where I'm pushing. Right. So in order for me to sit there and get it to understand, I'd say, does your medial joint line hurt? Does your lateral joint line hurt? Oh, it seems like you have a negative Lockman's test for your knee. And all of that is like, for the patient is like, what are you saying? Yeah. And so it's not very comfortable. So a lot of physicians are averse to that. So the physical exam's an issue. The third thing is like procedures. Okay, I'm going to do a knee injection. Well, normally in my note, I put down exactly what I injected, all that kind of stuff, to document all that. Well, how does that? That's not on the audio. So a lot of these ambient AI systems, do a decent job of getting the note, but there has to be so much editing on the back end that sometimes it's not even worth it. So because now you have to read this entire note, and it's like, okay, I have to re-edit this whole thing and add all this stuff. Yeah. So that's where it's at. But I'm trying to fix that problem by building a new type of ambient system that uses AI for post-processing to handle all those things.
In the interest of time, kind of walk us through how yours works or how your vision works.
So because I understand the technology side and the physician side, I understand that workflow is very important. Okay. For me, that's why I was asking you, Pat, like, what's a recording device? Because for me, I record everything on my Apple Watch, right? It's unobtrusive. Wow. It's right there next to me. I'm right in front of the patient. So our app runs, it can run on the iPhone too, but I love using the Apple Watch for it. You just go in there, hit record, and then when you're done, you hit done, and that's it. That's all you need to change. Yep. Yeah. So that's on the front end. The back end, I know that, like, for example, like if I do an injection on the patient, that's not going to be in the note, like the procedure note. Okay. Mm-hmm. On the back end, we're using a second AI to do post-processing on this note. That basically you tell it, hey, when I do an injection, I want you, and if you hear that I do a knee injection, for example, I want you to put into the note automatically for me this text, which is my standard knee injection. And so like that, you can give instructions on the back end
I see.
Second AI on exactly what you want it to do. It's kind of like talking to a human scribe, where you just tell it, hey, every time I do this, or if I do this, if I say this, put this in, or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a combination of two separate types of specific AIs, and actually a third one as well, because now that you have the note, how does it get into your EMR, right? Mm-hmm. Because now you're going to copy and paste it in there. You can, which is fine, but these EMRs have different boxes for different information. They have one box over here for the history, one box for the physical, one box for the assessment and plan, like that. And every EMR is different. So our third AI is a different type of AI than the first two. It's called computer vision. So it can visually see the screen just like a human and knows what the user interface for the EMR looks like, and goes in and does all the button clicks, clicking on this box, pastes the text from the second AI in various different places, and automates that entire thing. So, what I'm building is a combination of 3 different AIs to solve one problem.
How much time currently does an orthopedic surgeon spend in doing what you're talking about? And what will this boil it down to, do you envision?
So they've done studies on this. So the average physician spends more than 50% of their time in clinic doing documentation.
Wow.
Okay, so an 8-hour day, that's 4 hours. So
Right.
with like this, there is no documentation. You still have to review the note and say, okay, yeah, whatever the AI came up with is what I want. But that review takes like 10, 15 seconds as opposed to 2 or 3 minutes of dictating a note or whatever you were doing before. So, it is like you're going to cut the documentation time down by at least 75% of what you were doing before.
So you eliminated the dictation or the writing or
Right.
the button clicking.
Yep.
Which means that you probably are reducing the time by what, at least 50%?
At least. I mean, I'm thinking more like 95%. Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
On that, I think it reduces fatigue on physicians, and it probably speeds up the whole patient experience. It certainly provides them with better notes than they would have gotten.
The amount of stuff that goes into the note, the more how detailed it is now is fantastic. Really, I mean, it's documenting like so much better than I could have ever done. Yeah.
And what do you call the program?
Tempida. Tempida.
PI, okay.
Yeah.
When do you think it's going to be available potentially? With conservatively speaking,
we're looking to launch it in about a month.
And how will that roll out? Will it be specific to orthopedics at first, or any specialty?
It's going to be a website. You just sign up for free, and you got a 7-minute video that shows you how to use it, and then you're ready to go.
Wow.
And what EMRs will it plug into?
Every EMR.
Every EMR. Wow.
Because remember that third component, the autopilot, we call it the autopilot component, which uses computer vision. We just basically say, okay, this is what this guy's EMR or this gal's EMR looks like. I need you to click on this button, go over here to this box, take this information, paste it in there, and then go to the next thing, whatever. So
well, Kishore, thanks a lot for giving us this overview as to what's happening in things that will impact patients and physicians. And it's always great to talk to you, but this is exciting stuff.
Well, let's wrap up today. I wish you a good Kansas weekend.